Hi guys, welcome back. I think we live in a bit of a very funny time because we are so concerned with success as a society. We talk about it so much. I'm an educational consultant. I prepare students to get into the best colleges of the world, Ivy League, whatever. And the presumption is that everything is okay in the world, and you are just going to get into a really good college, and then you're going to live a healthy and happy life, and everything is going to be okay. And it's just we don't talk about so many things. So many things get swept under the rug, and they are not paid attention to. They're not considered important. Society has created this sort of superficial layer of what's important. So if you don't want to think about certain things, it is very easy not to think about them, at least initially, because society has created this whole amusement park of things. So you go to college, you go to parties, you will date boys or girls, then you'll get a job, you get your first place, then you'll find somebody, a romantic partner. You're gonna have this amazing romance, all magical and all of this, and then you're going to get married, and then your life is going to become even more happy, and you're gonna have a kid or a couple of them, and you're gonna buy your dream house, your dream car, and you're gonna take some good vacations. You're gonna get to go to some places that you wanted to go, or work on some interesting projects. You're gonna get some admiration, some appreciation for your work, and so you're gonna be happy. So society promises you, or the system promises you, that if you do certain steps, you're going to end up happy. And then lo and behold, well, maybe that will keep you for a while, especially because youth has its own strength and hormones and all of that. And while all of this is happening, every new thing is like a new rush or something. But then sooner or later, maybe when you hit 40 or something like this, or even earlier, you might find yourself in a totally different predicament. And by this time, potentially, you may have gone through at least 20 years, if not more, of high-functioning depression, which you have not really sort of dealt with, or somehow you have always been able to, again, push it some under the rug and pretend like it's not there, especially because the people around you don't really want to talk about it. Nobody in the society really wants to talk about it. You're always supposed to be on your best behavior. You're the best possible professional, best possible mother, father, family person. You're supposed to be on top of your game always. And so, at least in the Western society, I don't know how it is in maybe other societies, but we don't really deal with those things, and individuals are left sometimes feeling very alone to deal with those things. And unfortunately, in some cases, things may end pretty badly, and that's just the reality of it. And nobody really wants to deal, and it's almost considered a little bit of a stigma if you talk about it. Like people who get depressed, very often they really apologize. Sorry for complaining to you and things. So they apologize for discussing these issues, because it's considered like you're putting a burden on the other person, which you're only putting a burden on the other person if the other person is completely selfish and just wants to, or has their own issues, so they are not emotionally capable to deal with this. But so it is considered that how we do small talk, it's considered that you have to be hyper and up, and that's when people will actually approve of you. But you don't really. So when people say how are you, you just say, oh, I'm great, right? Nobody starts actually discussing their issues. It's really hot in Bulgaria right now. We have a heat wave, which is why I'm wearing this. I'm really, really, really hot. And actually, I forgot to turn off the fan, for which I really apologize. I was supposed to turn it off for the recording, but I completely forgot, so I guess the fan is going to just run in the background. The thing is now that we don't really have coping mechanisms how to deal with this. Well, number one is everyone needs to have somebody to discuss these things with, to talk with. And it turns out that a lot of people don't really have this kind of close friendships. And by the way, I just want to say, I know a bunch of people, a lot of people who suffer from high-functioning depression, meaning that they are functioning members of societies, they have families, and they often do some great things in their work. And so these people that I know are extremely intelligent people, or at least very intelligent, and they're doing well in life, and they're talented and all of this, but they do have this debilitating disease in the background that from time to time really gets the best of them, and life then becomes really difficult. So what are we really supposed to do about it? We all need somebody to talk to, somebody to discuss these things with, and as a society we haven't really created much. Again, in the family, in the small units, there is no support really for these kinds of conversations. Well, at least in the country that I come from, but my impression is that pretty much everywhere around the world, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there is a country where this is like openly spoken about, these kinds of things. And so if you don't have friends that can really assist you and that can really listen and understand, your only other option is either a psychiatrist or a psychologist. The thing is that the psychiatrist will only give you medicine, mostly. There's nothing wrong with medicine. I take medicine because I've suffered for over 30 years of high-functioning depression. So even though I worked a lot on myself, I still find taking some medication to be useful for my brain chemistry. But medication cannot heal your mind. It just helps the chemistry, and yes, there is a little bit of the virtue. If you increase the level of serotonin, maybe some better thoughts will come, but you still, on the background, you do have that old baggage and that old trash that is still there, and you're not dealing with it. So it's like those people that think that through hallucinogenic drug, they will become enlightened. You cannot really heal fundamentally just by taking kind of popping a pill. It's not gonna do the magic, even though that's another thing that society is saying. So this may not be something pleasant to hear, but that's just the case. And for many people that I know, initially there is a big improvement, but then just after a year or a year and a half or whatever, 2 years, the medication stops working, and then you have to either get a new medication, increase the dose. A lot of people in America, I have read, just keep increasing the dose. So if you're not dealing with your mind, I am not very sure that you can really heal, you can really have long-lasting effects. And then the other thing is, so chemistry. So the psychiatrist just works with the body, and then the psychologist works with the mind. We could argue this is like a more deeper, a better step, because everything starts with the thoughts that you have, the beliefs that you have. So there's, for example, behavioral therapy, where if you say, I have social anxiety, and you start digging into the thought patterns, like what are they? For example, well, why are you afraid to walk on the street? What's your belief? What's your thought? Well, my thought is that people will think I'm annoying. And so what? Well, if they think I'm annoying, they're gonna dislike me. And so what if they dislike? Well, if they dislike me, they will make me feel like I don't belong to this earth. So what? Well, that will make me feel very lonely, the way I felt when when my mother, maybe something. So the point is like to sort of analyze what's in your brain, to see the patterns that you have. And I think that's a definite step to changing things, because you have to see what's not working so that potentially you can replace it, right? Now the issue is that then if we take this one step further, So I would definitely say that psychologist is better than a psychiatrist, and probably both things are necessary, because you already done so much damage on the physical system as well if you've suffered from chronic depression for 10-20 years or more. So probably need both meds and intensive work on your mind patterns and all of that. The problem is that you cannot really observe your mind and really you have to let go of these patterns. So there's something something else going on there than purely logical process, because subconsciously we are attached and addicted to our patterns. So it's like an addiction also that you have to break. It's not just like I'm gonna see the pattern and I'm just gonna change it, right? And the reason why it's not so easy to do that is because we actually, part of us doesn't want to change these patterns. It's identified with its patterns, and so we need to break the identification. And that is the heart. So we are going beyond the body and beyond the mind, breaking identification with the mind and with the bodily process, meaning that we are going to a third level where you are not identified neither with your mind, which is just all the thoughts, neither with the body. So this is, so we could call this, let's call it a spiritual process, even though this word has become very heavy, but literally it means that then we have to also tap into meditative consciousness, where we are something bigger than the mind and the body. In my opinion, to overcome depression, really to overcome it, well, I would say first of all is to work with the mind, where you really have to answer the question, do I really want to stop this depression, and start to organize your mind and your patterns. Potentially, depending on how bad the depression is at the moment, you may have to take medications, but ultimately the only way to really get out of it is to tap into transcendental mind, which means meditate and observe the mind and sort of start to break the attachments and the addictions. Just know that you're not alone. I know it sounds cliche, but it is true. There's always, you have to find somebody to turn to, somebody to share with. And sometimes, especially for some people, this is not easy because we're not taught to share. We have not really learned this, generally speaking. But this is very important, because if you keep it inside, you're just gonna blow up. And I know that a lot of people feel completely alone, even if they have spouses and families. But again, because as a society we're not used to speaking about those topics, so very often many people feel completely alone, even with people around them. Which is why I am hoping that this is a little bit of a safe place where maybe people can connect with each other. And by all means, please leave a comment below. I know that a lot of people may not feel comfortable really sharing stuff with strangers. The smallest thing really count, in my opinion, so people can share information, tips, information about good practitioners in different areas of the world, information about maybe some meditative exercises that have worked for people, or other kinds of exercises, breathing. And there's so many different methods, as a matter of fact, which I myself have tried on my journey to healing. And if there is interest, I can make a video about it, about some of these things. And maybe if I feel like it, or if there is interest, I will make a video on different methods to cut the identification from the mind, and just sort of make those small steps on the road to recovery. I hope everybody's taking care of themselves, staying healthy as much as possible, and or looking for ways to get help and to feel better. I will see you next time. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye. Should've looked good in the moonlight. This specific, so